Thank you for watching This Is Now. First at noon today, thousands of students and Native Hawaiian activists took to the streets of Honolulu this morning for a poignant and solemn march.
Yeah, this morning was the annual Onipa'a Peace March. Take a look at some of this video here. Now, students from Kamehameha schools and other Hawaiian rights groups went from the Mauna'ala Royal Mausoleum in Nu'uanu all the way to Iolani Palace. The annual procession commemorates 131 years since the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian Kingdom, which happened on this very day, January 17th, 1893. Hundreds made the 1.7-mile trek to the palace. There, a celebration is underway with speeches, educational booths, and entertainment until 3:30 p.m., so you still have time to make it down there. Those looking to attend are urged to bring their own chairs and waters. There will also be interfaith service, food, and tributes to the Queen. And get this, admission to Iolani Palace is free for this special one-day event. Now, all of this coinciding with activities at the legislature.
Yeah,
Ash?
next door opening day at the state capitol, and Hawaii lawmakers are back in session. With new metal detectors in place, there were long lines to enter the galleries this morning. Affordable housing, rebuilding Lahaina, and clean energy investment are among the issues on the agenda this session. We're going to have a full wrap-up of today's ceremonies coming up later on First at 4.
A woman is dead following a crash in Kahalu'u this morning. Honolulu police said it happened around 5:10 a.m. near Kahekili Highway and Ahuimanu Road when a 67-year-old man heading eastbound hit the 37-year-old woman. Now, police say the victim appeared to have been walking in the roadway. EMS said she was pronounced dead at the scene and the driver was uninjured. Kahekili Highway was shut down in both directions between Ahaolelo and Ahuimanu amid the investigation, but it has since been reopened. HPD says speed, drugs, and alcohol do not appear to be factors in this crash. This marks Oahu's second traffic fatality so far this year. There were the same number of traffic deaths at the same time in 2023. And a man was seriously injured in a stabbing in Kalihi this morning. It happened around 8:15 near Waikimilo and Nimitz. Police are still investigating the circumstances leading up to the stabbing. Sources say it doesn't appear the suspect has been apprehended.
The Department of Health has announced the state's first pediatric flu-associated death since June 2023. It's also the first death of this year's flu season. The child was an Oahu resident. Health officials say it comes amid a rise in flu, COVID, and RSV cases in recent weeks. They continue to encourage everyone to get vaccinated. HFD says a fire at an out-of-service bathroom at the Kamamalu Community Center last night was intentionally set. This is in town in the area of Vineyard and Queen Emma Street. HFD crews were called there at around 9:45. They were able to get the fire under control in the storage area in about 10 minutes, and no injuries were reported. Damage estimates is $100,000, and it will be forwarded as an arson case to HPD.
Well, yesterday's severe weather caused some problems in and around Oahu and Maui County. Here's a look at some of the damage caused by the strong winds. In Kaneohe, winds toppled this large tree on Kalali Street. No word if anyone was injured there. And over on central Oahu, gusty winds turned destructive at the Army base. A roof blew off of the inn at Schofield on Kolekole Avenue in Wahiawa. The front desk told us no one was hurt.
The rain was the bigger problem on Maui as Kihei saw severe flooding. At least 5 people were rescued when they were trapped by rushing water. A fire crew used a helicopter to airlift 2 people who were trapped in their vehicles along South Kihei Road near Kaono'ulu Street at around 8:45 yesterday morning. Firefighters also rescued 3 other people on foot. The region is vulnerable because of all the runoff that comes down off Haleakala. The county has been trying to mitigate the flooding for years.
Here's the message I would have for the mayor. This isn't a sustainable solution. I think we have to come up with a long-term solution that allows water to flow better from upcountry down as it rains and it doesn't get stuck on the bridge. And I believe it's a couple places along this road that it's getting stuck. So we need a long-term solution, not just a short-term fix.
County crews work to clear out all the mud and debris to make the road passable again. Yesterday's power problems come as HECO imposed rolling blackouts last week because of generator malfunctions. Now, the company wants to replace some of its oldest generators with new technology, but as Jolani Martinez reports, the cost to customers is still unclear.
HECO says the new generators are faster and more efficient and would keep the grid energized when wind and solar energy runs low.
The new turbines will not run as much as the existing steam units. They'll be there to fill the gap when wind and solar energy are not sufficient to meet the customer needs.
HECO's Vice President of Power Supply, Mike DiCaprio, says after churning out fossil fuel power for 86 years, the Waiau power plant is due for an upgrade. The company wants to replace 6 old boilers with 6 smaller combustion turbines that can run on biodiesel, diesel, and potentially hydrogen.
We're using existing concrete turbine pedestals, existing infrastructure at the plant, and the net effect of this project will be lower air emissions than the existing project and lower water discharges to Pearl Harbor than the current plant.
HECO's proposal is one of 15 being considered from different companies around the state. Tonight, HECO met with the public at Waiau Elementary to get feedback. Whichever project is chosen, the developer will have to contribute more than $250,000 a year to the community.
Hawaiian Electric is obligated to give a financial contribution to the community over the 30-year life of the project. The community advisory group has to decide how that money is distributed and used to benefit the community.
HECO hasn't revealed the estimated cost of the project, but says it would likely be paid for with government aid and customer rate increases. That's a problem for some.
Without knowing the impact on the ratepayer, for me personally, it's hard to endorse it because say we endorse it and after the fact we tell all the ratepayers by doing this upgrade, we're going to increase your rates by 30%. It's hard to stomach that because it's an unknown factor at this time. Is there a round number you guys know if it's going to be 5% more, 10% more?
I don't have a round number, but I will say that we spend a lot of money on maintaining the existing infrastructure there, and that will be offset, right, with the new plant. So I think from a operations and maintenance expense, we will have lower operating and maintenance expenses. What the impact of the project total on the bills is, I cannot answer that at this time.
HECO says if the project is approved by the Public Utilities Commission and permits are authorized, the first units would go online 5 years from now. Reporting from the Waiau Power Plant, Jolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
Congress is once again facing a deadline to avert a government shutdown and fund the government for the long run. Skylar Henry has more on their efforts.
The Senate cleared the first hurdle in its efforts to avoid a partial federal government shutdown on Friday.
Time is of the essence. If we don't act soon, the government will run out of funding at midnight this Friday, January 19th, just a few days away.
The temporary bills will allow congressional negotiators to continue work on a long-term deal.
Shutting down the government, even part of it, would interrupt this important progress.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Speaker Mike Johnson reached a deal over the weekend that caps the amount of money to be spent in the long-term spending bill. But many House Republicans say they're not happy with the deal.
Will you support the CR?
No. Secure the border, we can discuss funding.
Despite the pushback from some on the right, House leadership is confident it can pass the bill.
It's clear that a very substantial majority does not want to shut down the government. It's also clear that I think all of our Democratic colleagues essentially don't want to shut down the government. So I think it's very unlikely we'll shut down the government.
But with a narrow majority in the House, Republicans will need support from House Democrats to pass the bill. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
A shipment of medicine for dozens of hostages held by Hamas is on the way to Gaza after France and Qatar mediated the first agreement between Israel and the militants since a week-long ceasefire in November. Raf Sanchez reports from Tel Aviv.
After weeks of delicate negotiations, a deal has now been reached to get medicine to Israeli hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza. That's in exchange for Israel allowing medical supplies to Palestinian civilians inside of the Strip. This deal was brokered by Qatar, and earlier today, 2 Qatari aircraft landed in Egypt with those medical supplies. They are due to be delivered inside of Gaza. What is not clear is how that final mile of delivery is going to work. Who is actually going to deliver the medicine to the hostages, given that the location of the hostages is pretty much Hamas's most closely guarded secret. Those medical supplies also badly needed for Palestinian civilians, 85% of whom displaced from their homes and living inside an area where the healthcare system has all but collapsed. The Jordanian military saying Israeli fire damaged a field hospital they had set up for Palestinian civilians in the south of the Gaza Strip. We have reached out to the Israeli military for comment and not heard back. It comes, as Israel says, it is lowering the intensity of its military operations, but Palestinian civilians in the city of Han Yunis say there is still very intense bombardment going on. So for people on the ground, it does not feel like this operation is lowering in intensity. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
There are lingering concerns about fuel in the water here on Oahu. Last month, the Navy tested water heaters from 4 homes. Those results ranged from detecting nothing to finding a trace amount of total petroleum hydrocarbon diesel in the water. The level is not high enough to trigger federal and state health warnings, and the Navy insists it's not JP5, which is a type of jet fuel.
There is something out there. It's not JP5.
Why does the Navy keep saying it's not jet fuel?
Well, it hasn't fingerprinted as jet fuel, and that's the only way you can actually go in and look at it. You put one fingerprint against another fingerprint. I'm not a chemist, but that's what the chemists are telling us.
But water and chemical experts have told H&N total petroleum diesel is a component of fuel.
Hilo's Big Island Candies is voluntarily recalling units of their Makana Brownie assortment box. The batch sold at their Ala Moana location contains undeclared peanuts and may be harmful to those with an allergy. One customer has already reported suffering an adverse reaction. The products were sold between December 13th and the 21st last year and were only sold at the Ala Moana location. The box can be returned to a Big Island Candy store for a full refund or replacement.
Now to severe weather across the continent, where millions of Americans are facing frigid temperatures with much more harsh winter weather on the way. Maggie Vespa has the latest from St. Louis.
This morning, dangerous temperatures, maintaining an icy grip on the country.
I ain't never felt nothing like this.
95 million Americans remain under wind chill alerts from the Great Plains through the Tennessee Valley. Trees in Texas frozen solid, while parts of Pennsylvania are buried in snow.
Oh man, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here.
Roads slick with ice, creating a hazardous mess across the country, from Colorado to Alabama, where this semi-truck lost control. The frigid winter blast wreaking havoc on air travel, too. More than 2,400 flights were flat out canceled Tuesday, with another 9,000 delayed. The sub-zero wind chills bursting pipes at this Missouri apartment complex, displacing 200 people.
This is bad. On a day so cold, this is really bad.
In Illinois, the brutal cold doling batteries on electric vehicles.
It takes 2 hours to charge a car.
While in Missouri, a number of cars abandoned after sliding off the road. Over the weekend, a blizzard dumped more than 40 inches of snow on Buffalo. Now another lake effect snow event could drop 3 more feet on the hard-hit city. This as several East Coast cities, including New York, D.C., and Philly, saw over an inch of snowfall for the first time in nearly 2 years. Some celebrating an end to the snow drought.
We actually got rid of our sleds because we were like, it's never going to snow again here.
Well, a lot of winter weather there on the mainland. Thankfully, nothing like that here, although Mauna Kea was covered in snow last week. So we'll be keeping an eye on all the weather changes here. Let's send you live outside now to Denver, Colorado. The temperature there, 43, not too bad, but beautiful clear skies there. Stay with us right after this break. Our Guy Hoggy will have more on your local forecast.
aloha on this Wednesday. The cold front that brought so much rain over the last couple of days continues to drop a lot of rain over the east end of the state, especially over in Maui. Slowly, it's going to dissipate later today. Slowly, it's going to move towards Hawaii Island. But for this morning, Maui's getting most of the rain, especially on the south and southeast coast. And there could be more flooding today because the ground is so saturated. Won't take a lot of rain to cause more flooding. And the winds are slowly easing up, especially for Kauai and Oahu. Still very windy over in Maui and for Hawaii Island. But as that front dissipates later this afternoon, the wind should start to back off. So again, drier conditions for Kauai and Oahu. Should be a very pleasant day. However, Maui dealing with a lot of rain this morning. Slowly that rain will move towards the west side of Hawaii Island, and then it's going to start to dissipate later tonight. Surf's on the rise. We got another big swell coming into north and west shores, but because the winds are coming out of the west, we got very poor, unrideable conditions for north and west shores. South shores are messy as well, and the best conditions are on the east side, but the waves are pretty small there. So still a little wet for Maui and for Hawaii Island today. There is a possibility for flooding as well as some very gusty winds, and slowly by tomorrow, the winds will ease up significantly. We're talking variable winds, south winds running 15 miles an hour or less, so it might be a little bit sticky, and there's a chance for some afternoon showers. Now, the next best chance for rain starting tomorrow will likely happen sometime on Tuesday with a weak cold front.
There were back-to-back announcements from the royal family which shook the United Kingdom today. The king and his daughter-in-law are both facing health scares. IMT's Tayab reports from London.
King Charles III will undergo surgery next week, what Buckingham Palace described as a corrective procedure for an enlarged prostate. The condition is benign, according to the palace, which said the 75-year-old monarch faces a treatment in common with thousands of men each year. What made the announcement more of a shock is that less than 2 hours earlier came the news that the king's daughter-in-law, the Princess of Wales, is already in the hospital. Kensington Palace says Princess Kate was admitted to the London clinic on Tuesday, where doctors performed planned abdominal surgery. The statement says the procedure was successful and that her condition was non-cancerous. It offered no other details other than that the 42-year-old future queen could be hospitalized for up to 2 weeks.
It is very significant. It doesn't mean it's a life-threatening situation by any means, but there are lots of procedures people don't want to have discussed. It is personal to them.
The palace said Kate hopes to maintain as much normality as possible for her 3 children.
She's always put herself as a mother first, and she doesn't want her children to be exposed to any kind of speculation or intrusion. And so this very, very crafty statement was put out 100% with a mind to protecting those 3 children.
And the princess has apologized for postponing her upcoming events, which will also be the case for the king. The monarch's condition is common in men over 50, and the palace says he'll be facing a short period of recuperation. Imtiaz Taib, CBS News, London.
Christmas is far behind us, but some people are still throwing out their trees. Scientists in Sweden say they've found a way to recycle them, and fish are taking the bait. Ian Lee has the story.
One by one, Swedish volunteers chuck Christmas trees into Stockholm's icy waters. Large rocks sink the festive furs to sleep with the fishes, giving marine life a safer place to live.
If you look at it, there are plenty of places to hide in here. There are all these branches, and there are the pine needles as well.
Using dead trees to bring new life to these waters is an annual tradition in Sweden, because throwing them away, along with their holiday spirit, can be downright depressing.
It's also a bit sadness of time passing by.
More than 1,000 trees have taken the cold plunge to help restore endangered ecosystems.
There's not a lot of vegetation, there's not a lot of reeds, and those are really important habitats for fish that have gone missing.
Soon, fish eggs replace tinsel strung around the trees, leaving a gift of something they've been pining for, a new home. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
And in today's good news now, an 8-year-old boy from Virginia had his birthday wish turn into a slam dunk. Andrew McClung shows us how it all happened.
To 8-year-old Nicholas Bostic, basketball is a big part of his life.
All we hear is about how he wants to go to UNC and then the NBA.
He just wants to be like Mike.
That's what made the Bulls come into play. And then he started watching the Bulls, and then he fell in love with DeMar DeRozan.
For Christmas, he got a big surprise from Santa to see the Bulls play the Hornets. And at his 8th birthday party just a few days before the game, he made a wish.
I asked for me to see DeMar DeRozan,
which led to a snowball effect. Nicholas and his family got a special opportunity to see warm-ups, which his mom helped make a sign for that said, "Please sign my birthday shirt."
And after I got it made, he said, "Will you put something on the other side for me?" And I said, "Well, sure." And he says, "Hey, DeRozan, I want your job."
Then came the day of the game, and Nicholas's sign caught the attention of DeRozan.
And he stopped to read it. When he did, he had this huge smile on his face. I pointed at him, and I said, "Quick, turn it around before you lose his attention."
DeRozan waved Nicholas and his mom down.
I wish everybody could have seen it through my eyes because it was emotional to see his dreams come true like that.
I told him that he was my favorite player, and he said thank you.
A birthday dream come true.
I can't think of anything we could ever possibly do to encourage him that would be more than what DeMar DeRozan done.
Absolutely sweet. Always so cute to see players interact with their fans, and it's just so cute.
How can you deny an adorable kid like
I know,
that,
right?
too?
With a sign like that saying, "I want your job," honey, you can have it. Just take it. So cute.
We have more good news to pass along. Dozens of dogs and perhaps a couple of cats were blessed outside a church in Madrid to celebrate the feast of St. Anthony of Abad, Spain's patron saint of animals. So after heavy rain, Madrid residents took their pets to St. Anthony's in central Madrid, where they were hauled up by their owners to be blessed with holy water by priests.
Now, that dog's not understanding the concept
not
at
having
all.
it, yeah. The Catholic tradition is meant to bring the animals health and protection for the coming year. The blessings were followed by Mass, where the pets were also welcomed in the packed church.
That's cute to see. And also, a lot of people for the new year here in Hawaii took their pets to the local shrines. I know you have a dog. Have you ever gotten Stanley?
I'm not.
Oh.
I didn't know they did that here.
Yeah, they do that. They welcome all the dogs and the pets. Maybe you should do that next year for Stanley.
Interesting.
We also got more good news. This one is for the humans. Kraft is trying to spice up your sandwiches with some different flavors. Now, starting this month, the company is selling 3 new single flavors: jalapeno, garlic and herb, and caramelized onion. The cheese will be sold as a pack of 16 slices at stores nationwide. Now, get this. Kraft hasn't introduced any new flavors since sharp cheddar and pepper jack, and that was nearly 10 years ago, Ashley.
They all sound good.
They all really do. Who doesn't like cheese? I mean, well, maybe those who are
Lactose
and vegans as well. But I mean,
there's quite a lot of people that don't like cheese.
Okay, well, more cheese for us then. I want to go ahead and recap some of the images from earlier this morning with the Onipa'a March. We're going to have more on this coming up in later editions of Hawaii News Now, but it's always such a solemn march to see make its way through Honolulu. Again, the festivities are happening there at Iolani Palace until about 3:30 this afternoon. So if you are free, go ahead and check it out. Let's go ahead and end today with a live look out over beautiful Honolulu. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.
Aloha.